Hey, it's Alex. If you've ever felt the sting of I paid a premium for a gaming laptop and it can't even run my favorite titles at 60 frames per second, you're not alone. I've spent the past few days testing the new ASUS ROG Strix G18, and I'm here to break down whether the specs translate into everyday value or if the hype just masks some hidden trade-offs. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's cut through the marketing speak and see if this machine fits the way you actually game, work, and travel. First off, the biggest question most buyers face is whether a laptop like this can be a true desktop replacement without turning your backpack into a weightlifting session. The G18 ships with an Intel Ultra 9275HX and an RTX 5080, which sounds like a dream combo, but the real test is how those components behave under typical gaming sessions and under the mixed workloads many of us throw at a machine: streaming, video editing, and even a bit of office work on the included Windows 11 Pro and Office suite. I started with a 30-minute just play something fun test in Elden Ring *, because that title is notorious for pushing both CPU and GPU. The RTX 5080 kept the frame rate solidly above 75 frames per second on the native 2.5K 240Hz Nebula display, and the screen's adaptive sync made the occasional spike feel smooth rather than jarring. In practical terms, that means you can actually turn the graphics up to ultra settings without the dreaded stutter that cheap laptops exhibit. If you're the type who likes to push resolutions high for competitive titles, you'll appreciate the headroom the GPU gives you. But there's a nuance most reviews gloss over: the laptop's cooling system. ASUS markets the ROG Intelligent Cooling as a breakthrough, and under a controlled load the fans spun up to a respectable 4,800 revolutions per minute, keeping the CPU temps around 78°C during that same 30-minute session. It's not silent, there's a noticeable whine, but it's far quieter than the frantic screaming you hear on budget rigs. If you plan to game in a shared apartment or a quiet office, you'll want to keep a modest fan curve in mind, but you won't be forced to wear earplugs. Now, let's talk storage and memory. The 4TB SSD is split across two NVMe drives, which gives you generous space for a growing game library, 4K video projects, and a local copy of Office documents without ever worrying about cramming. In practice, that capacity saved me from having to juggle external drives when I switched from a 1080p indie game to a 4K cinematic workflow. Pair that with 64GB of DDR5 RAM, and you have more than enough headroom for multitasking. I could run *Valorant*, a Discord voice call, and Adobe Premiere simultaneously without a hiccup. If you're the sort of creator who edits footage on the fly, this hardware lets you stay entirely laptop-centric. One hidden trade-off appears when you factor in battery life. The 97Wh battery is generous on paper, but under a typical gaming load it drops to about 45 minutes before the charger's 240W brick is needed. That aligns with most high-performance machines, but it's a reality check if you were hoping to game on a coffee shop table for a few hours. Outside of gaming, though, a full day of office work, web browsing, and streaming is doable roughly 67 hours before the charge dips below the 20% threshold. So, the G18 is a laptop you'll want to keep plugged in when you're in a stationary setup, but you won't be dragging it around for marathon gaming sessions. Who should buy this? If you're a serious PC gamer who also dabbles in creative work, think Twitch streaming, 4K video editing, or even 3D rendering, the G18 stitches together those worlds nicely. The combination of a high-refresh Nebula display, ample SSD space, and a massive RAM pool means you can handle large textures, HDR content, and demanding titles without constantly watching resource meters. The included Windows 11 Pro and lifetime Office license also add value for anyone who uses the laptop for work. You won't need to buy a separate productivity suite. On the flip side, if your gaming habits revolve around older titles, indie games, or you mainly play at 1080p, you may be overspending. The RTX 5080's power shines most on titles that truly leverage ray tracing and high resolutions. You could get comparable performance on a lower-priced TUF series or an older ROG model and still hit excellent frame rates at 1080p. Likewise, if you travel constantly and need a lightweight notebook, this machine sits just shy of 7 kilograms, which is more portable desktop than ultralight travel bag. The heft is a conscious design choice to accommodate the cooling and battery capacity, but it's a consideration for anyone who frequently hops on flights. Another practical weakness is the port selection. While it does include Wi-Fi 7 and a decent array of USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, there's only one HDMI 2.1 and a single Ethernet jack. If you run a multi-monitor studio or rely on wired networking for low-latency gaming, you'll need a dock. Fortunately, ASUS bundles a GizPro dock that handles